Just the latest this morning on these numbers, these COVID numbers out of Sydney. How concerned are you and troubled are you about this new outbreak, which is now at about 21 cases in total?
Well, thanks, Pete. We're very concerned about this new outbreak here in Sydney. There are 10 new cases as of yesterday, but we're confident that we've got the systems and processes in place to be able to deal with it. We've been able to keep the economy going while keeping us safe. And the Chief Health Officer in New South Wales has said yesterday that she's confident we've got things under control, and we'll trust the systems and processes and the advice of the professionals when dealing with this.
Are you happy with the testing turnout so far?
Yeah, we've seen a big spike in numbers of cases coming forward in terms of testing. We're calling on people to go and get tested. If you've got the slightest symptoms whatsoever, we're asking you to come forward, take a simple test and keep the rest of the community safe. So we have seen an increase in the numbers of people getting tested, but we could always do with more. And my call for people watching this program this morning is, if you've got the smallest symptom whatsoever, you think you may have come in contact with someone that may have had a symptom, then go and get tested. You're helping not only yourself, but our whole community.
Okay, so no need to panic just yet, but given that, are local government area lockdowns still a possibility before the school holidays?
Well, of course, we want to make sure that we do everything we can to keep people safe and keep our economy running. We've taken a measured approach here up in New South Wales, not a one-size-fits-all approach to shut down the entire state when things get a little difficult, but we've invested in the systems and processes that mean we can go about our lives, keep people safe and keep the economy going. And that's what set New South Wales apart from every other state and territory.
Are you disappointed New Zealand has popped the travel bubble for now?
Well, that's a matter for them. What we're doing is focusing on keeping the community safe whilst keeping our economy going. And right now in New South Wales, we're able to do both. So the New Zealand government can put in place the measures that they think is best, but we're doing that here in New South Wales and keeping our economy going in the meantime.
Okay. Onto the budget. You've already made your major announcement prior to yesterday. This was based on electric vehicles. You want to give a $1,000 to $4,000 subsidy for electric vehicles. They do start at 44 grand though, so this is usually a roadblock for a lot of people. So given that smaller subsidy, is that realistic on a family budget?
Well, look, obviously we want to make the access of electric vehicles as affordable as possible to everyone. And that's exactly what this policy was all about, lowering the price point to get an electric vehicle, bringing more models into the market and dealing with range anxiety. So this was a comprehensive package to incentivise the uptake of electric vehicles. We didn't whack a tax on up front and disincentivise the move towards electric vehicles. We came up with a package that would make it as accessible as possible for everyone across the community. Now, the price will come down as the technology evolves, but we expect by 2025 for electric vehicles to be at a same price point to combustion engine vehicles. So we're preparing for that future. The future is an exciting one where people can access cleaner, quieter and cheaper vehicles, and that's what we're setting the state up for.
Given the budget is going to be in a much better place in a couple of years, so it'll be a quick turnaround, would you increase that subsidy?
Look, anything's possible, but right now what we're focused on is keeping cost of pressure down for families. We've spent over $400 million to support families in this budget. We're spending billions of dollars, $108 billion to build back better after this pandemic, investing in infrastructure, creating jobs and driving growth. And that's why New South Wales continues to be the powerhouse of the nation's economy.
Okay. Onto road user charges. So if that comes into place in 2027, or it might even come in earlier if you hit your targets, do you intend to introduce road user charging for all new vehicles at the same time?
Well, we've undertaken serious tax reform here in New South Wales, removing stamp duty for electric vehicles, and we'll transition to a road user charge when we see 30% of new vehicle sales being EVs, or by 2027. So we'll look at how that policy rolls out, but we are very interested in tax reform and aligning the taxes people pay to the charges or the use of people's vehicles. So we'll look at how that works with EVs, and we'll consider a policy position in the future. But right now we're focused on EVs, and I'm not going to make tax policy on the run here.
Right, okay, so but it could well apply to cars that aren't EVs with combustion engines.
Well, what we're focused on is EVs, Peter. We're not talking about moving to road user charges for combustion engine vehicles. This is tax reform for electric vehicles, and we've got the opportunity because right now only 0.7% of new vehicle sales in New South Wales are EVs. So it's the perfect time to introduce a new regulatory regime, which is what we've done. But we see that as a result of our policies that over 50% of new vehicles sold in New South Wales will be EVs by 2030. So now is exactly the time to be introducing tax reform for this new technology.
Okay, just finally, I've got to get your view on the Nats leadership change this week, Minister. What do you think that means for the federal climate policy?
Well, the leadership of the National Party is a matter for them, but what I will say is that no one will benefit more from the global transition to a low-carbon world than rural and regional Australia. And that's not me just saying that, that's Meat and Livestock Australia, who have committed to net zero target by 2030, one of the biggest sources of agricultural emissions. The dairy industry has committed to net zero emissions by 2030. And the National Farmers Federation have committed to net zero emissions by 2050. So, this is the base of the National Party. They're not some inner city woke greenie groups. They are the rank and file of the National Party. So this is good for the regions. Taking action on climate change will set them up for success. And the National Party, rather than standing in the way of the opportunities that are emerging because of the transition to a low carbon economy, should be embracing them and setting their communities up for success.
Any thoughts on the new leader?
Well, Barnaby Joyce is a colourful character. He's a great champion for rural and regional Australia, and that's why I'd hope that Barnaby Joyce would be looking to set the regions up for success as the world transitions to a low-carbon economy. It's the regions that will benefit from the dividends that will come from the rest of the world's need to sequester their carbon. It's the regions that will benefit from the rent they'll receive from hosting the renewable energy infrastructure that we're going to need to power our economies. And it's the regions that will benefit from selling their agricultural products into international markets. So let's all get on the program, set the country and the regions up for success.
I mean, you make that point. By sequestering that carbon, I mean, the farmers can come out quite ahead financially here, right?
Well, there are billions of dollars of revenue that could be made by rural and regional Australia. Our farmers will be rolling in gold if we get the policy settings right. And I'm confident Barnaby Joyce wants to see us get those policy settings right. We can't afford to leave anyone behind, whether it be in regional Queensland or regional New South Wales. That's what we're focused on here in New South Wales, making sure no one's left behind. And that's why the New South Wales National Party has endorsed policies that will set the regions up for success. So we look forward to working with the Federal National Party. We look forward to working with the Federal Coalition to ensure that we build a stronger and more prosperous future for everyone as the world transitions to a low-carbon economy.
Matt Kean, good to have you with us. Chat to you soon.